Welcome back. You're watching People and Politics here on AM Live. We continue with our conversation with our panelist. And as I had earlier mentioned before we took a short break, that yes, this is a very telling picture that we have on the front page of the Star this morning. Meet the young Jakoyo Midiwo, who's 18 months old. And you can see her skin has begun peeling off at Carbonet Sunrise Children's Home in Baringo. And the facility is home to 2 out of 5 starved children rescued from a family in Sabor on July the 26th. One of the children, a 6-year-old, died while 3 are still admitted at Baringo County Referral Hospital. And the Sunrise Children's Home in Carbonet is appealing for funds to feed, shelter, clothe, and educate malnourished children. And this, we are talking in a country where you have this particular headline also on the front page of the People Daily. I'll try and just show you in a moment. As far as the counties are concerned, let me try and just go back and show you what the People Daily is holding for us, so you can actually compare that. And this is what is on the front page of the People Daily. Governors gobble up 12 billion shillings in wages alone. This is what is on the front page of the People Daily. But this is a reality on the ground. We need to speak to this. This is where our concern is. This is a young child, and for her to have reached this particular stage, then it means this is a child who has been, adversely starved. And maybe I can pick up the brains of Dr. Eseli Esimi, who is a pediatrician. Just give us the grim reality of what is happening here, and should we be having such kind of pictures? If my director may just put it back for you to comment on it.
It's very sad that at this age and time, we are still having this sort of situation. Because I remember the time I was training as a medical student, we used to have a lot of measles. In fact, it became a sport. You just see and know this is measles. Right now, there's no measles. In fact, the students training now don't see live cases of measles. Same thing, we used to see this sort of thing in the pediatric wards. We had a lot of malnutrition. I would expect that at this age and time, we don't have that sort of situation. Because even with devolution, any serious governor who knows that they're in a food deficit area should actually start a school feeding program to ensure that children are getting proper nutrition, if not at home, at least at school. And that also encourages the parents to take the children to school. So it's unfortunate that we can have this sort of thing. And this is happening in Baringo. And I think if we are talking about loss of so much billions and billions of shillings, isn't it possible that we can actually come up with a system that ensures that we don't have this sort of problem? Because it's a shame. That's what I can say. It's a shame that we still have that sort of situation. Because remember, a child affected like this is not just the malnutrition that's going to happen here. Even after this child is cured of the malnutrition and is better off, but it affects the growth of the brain.
It's true.
Because brain growth happens maximally at this time. So when you allow so many children to have this sort of problem, then it means that you're actually creating a very bad future for them. Because the brain is curtailed, it's interfered with, and their intellectual capacity is also affected. So I think we are playing with something that's not right. We should not have this. I would even dare say that the chief of the location where this child comes from should be questioned, whether they knew that this sort of thing was happening, and if they did, who failed to supply them with food. Whoever failed to supply the food there should be held to account. Because I'm sure this food is available in this country. Somewhere has failed to supply this food to where it's needed. That's why you find in this country there are places where there's a surplus of food in one area and a deficit of food in another area. Yet this is something that we can actually organize as a nation, that this food be availed to those that need it. So we don't have this sort of situation with this child.
And one child has already died, and 3 others are admitted in the hospital. This is it's a very sobering reality that we are in, even in an advent of devolution, where we have all these monies being gobbled and you're seeking more money, yet the basic necessity down on the ground is not met.
I think in my case, I'll just say I'm ashamed.
You're ashamed?
I'm ashamed that we would have this sort of thing at this time.
Dr. Boni Holole.
2 points. The first one is that according to this report, this child was actually captured at a center, a rescue center It means somebody's running an institution in the name of rescuing this kind of children when that person does not even have food in the first place. So that center should be closed to start with. Number two, there is a county government. And the governor, if you go to his office, you'll find at 10 o'clock in the morning, there is a party in the office. During lunchtime, there is a party. And at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, there's a party whereby they entertain themselves with drinks and good food and what have you. Over and above that, they drive fuel guzzlers. Some of them even move from one function to another one with the choppers, in the process defeating the intention of devolution. Devolution was supposed to respond to basic things like this lack of food for this child, lack of water, a motorable road, and that kind of stuff. But instead, governors have gone for projects that can allow them to get kickbacks, like do a tarmac road here in Turkana, so that you get a in Turkana in Baringo, so that you get a kickback out of it. This is something that we should all, as my senior has said, that we should all be ashamed about. And I wouldn't be saying anything that is not on the minds of many Kenyans by requesting the governor of Baringo to resign. The governor of Baringo should resign. This cannot be his county.
Right. Jakoyo Midiwo.
I'm equally ashamed and embarrassed. You know, Debal, a few months ago we spoke about availability of grains and food in our country. We were told the granaries were full. In fact, I remember the deputy president saying there was no shortage of food in this country. Imagine what you're seeing. Thank you so much as a media fraternity for doing what you're doing, because there is no food in the country. Yesterday, in one of the papers, there was a lorry full of maize from Tanzania. And that lorry, they said the maize was 2,500 in Tanzania. Our people are demanding about 4,000 bob. It means our costs of production are simply too high. What are we doing as a country? What are we doing as a country? I wanted to plead with the members of our National Assembly and the Senate here. Don't you think today in the afternoon it would be a very good debate to talk about hunger in our country, so that we can watch you talking about issues that are killing our people? Look at that kid. Can that kid go to school, Deba? Is that somebody who can be taken to nursery school? And can we even tell how old that kid is? Just because of malnutrition. I want to agree with Bonnie. You know, something is wrong with the leadership. If I were him, I would not be in the Supreme Court looking for division of revenue.
No.
I would be there. I would be there. He should be the one planting, those things that give people health. What is he a governor for? What is he a governor for? This is a salvageable situation. And we can't. I think it is wrong of us even to come here, to wake up at 3, 4 a.m., to come here and not call him out. Because I think he's a bad leader. He's a bad leader. You know, Debal, just before I finish, last year you played a clip here of a school in Baringo that was only a school in name without a building. What are they doing with CDF? What are they doing with county funds? What are they doing at all? These are criminals.
All right, Wamatangi, you are the custodians of, the counties.
Debal, allow me to first express my regret that that such images, and you cannot differentiate now between such an image in the headlines of our newspapers. And when images of the starving child in Ethiopia stirred the world to ignite the movement that virtually attracted stars all over the world to come and rescue the state of Ethiopia and the hunger then. But when you look at this, a few things come to mind, and it's noteworthy from the story here that although the child is in a children's home, the story says that the child was rescued from a home. So that tells you that that is from a home where she has parents and the other children. So that tells you that it is not actually in the children's home. It is prevailing in the families. That's what's happening to the population. And two disturbing discussions and thoughts come to mind. One is this discussion we've had all the time. What is the capacity? What is the capability? What is the preparedness of our counties to uptake, to absorb the responsibility of health as a devolved function? And I think, you know, as you've talked about it, and my colleagues here have spoken about the governor and his aptitude and capability, but counties generally, you'd ask this in the background of this debate. That I remember it's just the other day when there was a big discussion that in a county like Laikipia, I remember one morning when we were here, a member from Laikipia tweeting that one of the hospitals, the main hospital in Nanyuki, was closed down. I think all doctors had been suspended or something like that. Remember the crisis that is and was in Kirinyaga. You reported widely on it about doctors and nurses on strike and being fired. So and that not only in those two specific counties, we had what was happening when the doctors camped here at Uhuru Park when they were demanding pay. This crisis around the function that is now a devolved function must be an issue that we have to relook at. And you'd be asking yourself then, would we be right even as a country and significantly so Debal, that would even be discussing that are there enough funds in the counties, or should we send money to the counties? You'd ask us if this is a depiction of what is happening. And I know you've shown that headline, where indeed governors are said to have gobbled up that $2 billion in remuneration and emoluments. That scenario does not only prevail in counties, it prevails also in national government. That if you look at the wage bill at national government, it's also unbearable. The same now has been adopted at county level, where you find governors' main preoccupation, and especially like for a year 2017, which was an election year, was to go around looking for everybody who sings their tune to employ them as casual workers or with contracts which are ignoble, which again burdens the counties. And remember again, Debal, this story and that picture there has been depicted as a result of malnutrition. And just a few days, remember the debate and discussion that was in our headlines about the Minister of Agriculture coming to headline to confirm that we have enough food and that there's even no need to import any food because we have enough strategic reserves to serve and sustain this country for the next I don't know how long. So you'd be asking yourselves, we should be asking ourselves, how do we spread and own our responsibilities? I have observed a very unique feature when I've gone around counties, as in my position in Parliament. In all these vast counties like Baringo, where they are semi-arid or arid and this, and they have a phenomena that is, I think, very unsustainable. If you go around their county headquarters and the few big towns they have, they invest everything around there. You go, you find skyscrapers, county headquarters that are 12 floors, the ministry of whatever in that county with a whole separate building and tarmac around the few buildings around there. But if you drive 50 kilometers or 100 kilometers from that headquarter into a county that is probably 33,000 square kilometers in area, you find situations and scenarios you don't want to see. Nothing there, no investment. And so we should be saying to our county governors that indeed their priorities must change. Development, as one of my colleagues here said, is not about putting up skyscrapers in county headquarters. It's not about giving every department in your ministry a separate building, and you're priding yourself in going to cut red ribbons that you are launching a new office block. This has got to go down to the people.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Let's close it with Otieno Amolo.
Well, it's a shame, but I don't think we should overly flay the governor of Baringo. If you look closely enough, you will find there's a Jakoyo Cherotich in almost every county, if you look closely enough. We must admit that it is our collective failure in leadership in all its formation, national, county, provincial administration, all that. In the 1980s, whenever you saw images of starving children, you knew obviously it was coming from Ethiopia. In the few years that have passed, Ethiopia has now established its food security. It has become food secure. Mm-hmm. Now we have become food insecure. It is a failure that we must address. While the county have the responsibility in terms of agriculture, in terms of health, mm-hmm. the national government retains the agriculture policy, it retains the health policy, it retains the economic planning role. We must call this to action, and it starts with the budgeting. When, as a country over the years, you spend most of your money in issues like security, issues that do not actually help the basic sustenance of human beings, then you know there's a problem. We need to rethink our priorities. It is a serious matter. If you look at it, I think your attention should be drawn to the kind of house in which they were. The truth is, you've seen me do what I call Ondoa Nyasi. Even in my constituency, there are houses that look like this or worse, and that is the truth. Mm-hmm. And that is why I keep trying to check them out, and then we modestly improve it. We give them at least water purifiers, some solar system, and some seed money. Mm-hmm. But the truth is, that problem is still there. And it is deeper than what an individual can deal with. It needs proper policy planning. Secondly, I think that it is also clear, and I think Dr. Boni Halwale spoke to this, you cannot have a children's home where children are starving to death. Then you should close it, because it's a contradiction.
But Matangi has just said they were actually rescued from their homes.
No.
And taken to the...
Yes, that's the point. You cannot, you can't be rescued from your home and then you are taken to a place where you are starving. That is very serious. A children's home is supposed to be a place of refuge.
They were starving already.
It's supposed to be a place of refuge. You see, the irony is this, Debab. Maybe, you see, when you say they were rescued, the assumption is it's an actual rescue. That you're now being taken to a place where there's clean water, where there's food, where there's other things. A children's home that cannot feed the children should close, so we know there's no children's home there. And it also means that there's a failure of regulation. Somebody who's supposed to check out those things is not checking. But thirdly, I think there's also a problem of reporting, as they're saying. They're saying in Baringo there are many children who are malnourished and it's not being reported. I think there must be close monitoring, but ultimately there must also be sensitization. When you see the father Joseph Cherotich says that my problem has always been unavailability of food and money to take the children to hospital. Chepto is 18 months old. He has had this problem, but he's still bearing children, and there's no foreseeable solution. That means there's also some education and counseling that must go on, because we must also find a way of sustaining and keeping children. Even if you're both in the worst of situations, at least you must have the basics of health, water, food, and housing. And clearly, Cherotich does not have that, is not foreseeing having that, but is still having children. So we need to have such conversations.
A good gesture from Jakoyo and Boni Halwale on what is happening with Chepto. Jakoyo, you are taking responsibility?
Yeah, we shall send her food and treatment and everything. Let them put their bill on the table. It's okay. I personally, I would take care of the kid. That is not the Kenya I want.
That is not the Kenya you want.
Yeah.
Boni Khalwale.
You know, I just want to appeal to the governor. In Scotland, last week or some time back, a minister resigned because of snowing. There was a great leak in the traffic. So the minister said, I am sorry that although we put in all the measures that we should have done, the traffic gridlock we should have done better. I therefore resign. I think the governor should do something, even as we take their food and water. That does not answer to the long-term arrangement that is more important. Yeah.
Right.
I shall take responsibility.
Right. Jakoyo Midiwo will take responsibility, and we do thank you for that, Jakoyo Midiwo. And yes, that is the story. And if there is any Kenyan out there who also wants to join Jakoyo in supporting Jepto, that will be a very good salutary effort from you as well, to help support that particular children's home. This is Sunrise Children's Home. Let's find out the details about it before we castigate it so much this morning, because I think also the details are scanty. But we thank you nonetheless, Jakoyo, and many Kenyans also will respond to this as well.